And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel guys, another live show guys. Of course, as I stated yesterday, a new series on the channel where of course we're just going to be spending more than just 8 minutes trying to build a community, trying to talk about our favourite football club and go through all the latest sort of news for the last 24 hours in a more long form sort of content way. As I said, I want to try and build a bit of a community and I want you guys to be a part of all of this. And in today's sort of live stream, of course, we are going to be going through quite a lot. We have got a bit of an update from Fabrizio Rommano with regards to the Liverpool managerial situation that's currently going on. We've got a bit what Florian Plettenberg has said to regards to the Liverpool managerial situation. We've got an update on Pep Lijnders. We've got an update on Andy Robertson. We've got a bit on the £60 million bullet that Liverpool did dodge. We're also going to be talking about a game that's up and coming this weekend against Brighton, whilst also going through a bit more in the Liverpool space. So as always guys, if you are just joining in, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, let's try and get this one to 500 likes. We crossed over 400 last time, so let's try and do 500 likes. But just to get everyone kind of interactive, I've started a poll there in the live chat. Get involved if you're watching on a replay too. But I've asked, who do you want as the next Liverpool manager? Do you want Xabi Alonso? Do you want Ruben Amorim? Do you want Julian Nagelsmann? Do you want Roberto De Zerbi? Or do you want a different? Or do you want an other? As stated, guys, let me know down there in the live chat who you want. Or if you're watching on a replay, let me know down there in the comment section below. But as stated, guys, we are back in action finally. The international break is fully over. It's done and dusted. No more Liverpool players away representing their nations for this season, which is good. Of course, we did pick up one injury, that of course being to Andy Robertson. And maybe that's probably where we'll start today. But firstly, I just want to maybe wait for a few more people to get in before we change that scene. But let's start with Andy Robertson. In fact, let me just try and change the scene again. I remember last time, oh, Fabrizio Romano's there. Let's start with Robbo there. And I remember last time as well, I had a bit of technical difficulties. So hopefully this does go a bit more sort of streamlined. Just let me know if you can kind of hear me and all that kind of stuff. Let's see where we're at. Put the webcam on. There we go. Right, it worked. It's getting a bit better. We're getting a bit better now. But yeah, Andy Robertson, of course. Look, a lot of talk with regards to him. He did come off in that game against Northern Ireland. And the initial diagnosis didn't necessarily look that great. Steve Clarke provided a bit of an update, but didn't really say too much with regards to it. He just said, let's wait and see how the injury progresses. Now, in the days after, it actually looks like a lot more positive news rather than negative news, guys. Of course, as stated, it didn't look good in his face. Of course, had problem already this season with injuries. However, this morning, it does seem as though Liverpool are hopeful over Andy Robertson's injury and are confident that it is not serious. Yes, Andy Robertson gave gave Liverpool fans a scare across the international break, but there is hope he has avoided a serious ankle injury. Yes, 2 international friendlies and 2 injuries for Robertson so far this season, and yet some still question why Jurgen Klopp is so adamant about protecting his players. The 30-year-old did underwent a scan on Wednesday, and the club are still awaiting the full prognosis, but there is hope he has avoided any season-ending damage. That is according to the reputable Lewis Steele, with the club confident he has avoided another serious injury setback, though they will know the full extent of the issue in the coming days. He is expected, though, to miss matches, but it will just be a question of how many, with no breaks between now and the end of the season as Liverpool push for Premier League and Europa League glory. The Reds do have a maximum of 15 games remaining should they progress to the Europa League final May 22nd, which does not leave a lot of room to recover from an injury. Robertson has already missed 21 games with a dislocated shoulder earlier in the campaign, also sustained on international duty, and makes him one of 21 players to have succumbed to injury this season. But as stated, guys, thankfully there is no more other players that have picked up injuries on this international duty. So it does look okay with Robbo. He is going to miss game, of course, but people were slightly worried that it could have been a season-ending injury, but that doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So yeah, good news kind of on the front of regards to Andy Robertson, and here's hoping the scan comes back good and there's not a shock in this one. But it does seem as though we have come through this international break slightly unscathed, apart from Robbo, as I stated, which is good, which is going against the trend of this season, so to speak, but I don't want to try and jinx things. I also did see Darwin Núñez as well, pictured at the AXA training centre. Yesterday, of course, he was left behind due to pulled out of Uruguay's international duty due to a potential injury. Yeah, it does look like he's not going to be a problem for that game against Brighton. Now, enough about Robbo. Let's go into the sort of story whilst you're all here, the main story, if you like, and that is with regards to Fabrizio Rommano providing another update with regards to our managerial position. In fact, let's start with Alonso first, and we'll say what Fabrizio Rommano has said with regards to all of it. So, on this channel, you will already have known how annoying, how frustrating Mr. Florian Plettenberg is. He's a guy that keeps on peddling this Bayern Munich narrative, and he's recently came out in an interview and basically provided us an update the other day and stated that Bayern Munich have got their second option in place. Their second option, of course, appears to be Roberto De Zerbi of Brighton. Now, the thing is with Florian Plettenberg and why people are getting slightly worked up is the fact, of course, that he has stated that Bayern Munich only see the way that they would miss out on Xabi Alonso if he does indeed stay loyal to Bayer Leverkusen, and didn't even want to mention Liverpool as a potential destination where Xabi Alonso could go, which is damn right deluded, because we're definitely within this talk. And that brings us to sort of Fabrizio Rommano and what he's kind of been saying. Now, he's obviously came out and stated that there is going to be a battle between Bayern Munich and Liverpool for the player. So despite this BS that Florian Plettenberg is currently peddling in that terms of that Bayern narrative and what he's doing for Bayern, the reputable journalists that we trust on this channel is Fabrizio Romano, Paul Joyce's, and David Ornstein's, and they're stating that Liverpool were definitely well within the race for him. However, just because we are in the race for him, it doesn't mean it is a done deal that we're going to be landing Xabi Alonso. As stated, he has got options to potentially go to Bayern. There's also potential talks of Real Madrid. There's also, the unlikely fact that he probably could stay at Bayer Leverkusen. If you ask me, I do think we'll come out on top of this race, but as stated, I'm not Xabi Alonso. I don't have the emotional connection to all of these clubs. However, failing, of course, us not to, Fabrizio Romano has came out and spoken on a recent podcast and stated that our interest in Ruben Amorim is more concrete than any other potential candidate and does currently sit at second. We started to get to that state at this moment in time. He is a favoured alternative to Xabi Alonso. So, why this is a fairly big bit of news is because, well, there has been names. Julian Nagelsmann. There's been Julian Nagelsmann. There's been Roberto De Zerbi. But it does seem as though we will go for Amorim if we did fail to, of course, get Xabi Alonso, which is a very, very interesting one, because I have done a massive breakdown on our sister channel on Panenka LFC. So if you do want to go and check that one out, guys, you're more than welcome to do so. I'll maybe try and link it down there in the comment section, but I've done a real deep dive into Ruben Amorim, and he is definitely a potential Liverpool manager. I would say at this moment in time, for me, it is Xabi Alonso. I share that the views that everybody currently has in this sort of live chat, but he is certainly a potential candidate for Liverpool Football Club going forward. Guys, if you haven't already hit the like button yet, sorry, I hate to be that pain. It just really does help out with the algorithm. If you can hit the like button, please do so, and if you haven't already, do subscribe. And if you are just watching this live, then do let me know down there in the live chat who you want as the Liverpool manager. If you're watching on a replay, again the same. So again, Fabrizio has provided that update with regards to it. Said, obviously, the conflicting reports that have come out with regards to Florian Plettenberg, stating that we aren't in the race for him, nor are we going to be getting him this summer. He said, of course, we are in it. It's going to be between Liverpool and Bayern in April, and then of course went on to say that our interest in Ruben Amorim is more concrete than any others. So interesting, very, very interesting there with regards to what Fabrizio has said with regards to our potential managerial candidates. Now, in other news, guys, let me just see what I've done. Right, cool. So whilst we have talked about that, a potential target that some of you guys have spoken about is this man, Pep Lijnders. Now, Pep Lijnders, of course, is a bit of a fan favourite. Everyone seems to like Pep Lijnders. Everyone's speaking of him very, very highly as of late. And some even said, look, he could be a potential Jurgen Klopp replacement. However, I've always stated that, he needs to kind of do his bit. Whilst he has worked under Jurgen Klopp for a long period of time, I think it's far too early to try and make him or give him that job. And it doesn't look like it is. He's definitely going to be leaving Liverpool Football Club this summer. Now, reports are stating from the ever-reliable Paul Joyce, ladies and gentlemen, not pulled out my arse, believe it or not, stating that Ajax Amsterdam are interested and have shortlisted Pep Lijnders as a potential coach to take over at Ajax this summer. This would see Pep Lijnders, of course, move into his first managerial job as a number one. And as stated, it does. That's coming from Paul Joyce. One thing is for certain, guys. He is 1,000% leaving Liverpool at the end of the summer with of course, Jurgen Klopp. He is not a potential candidate. He's not a guy who's getting considered for it. But as stated, it does look like Ajax Amsterdam do want to appoint Pep Lijnders as their potential head coach. Well, he's at least on the shortlist, or he's at least in the discussions to potentially take over at the Dutch Giants, which could pave well into the future. You never know. Like, everyone kind of rates Pep Lijnders that he could be something in the future. He could return back to Liverpool in the future one day. Who knows? We don't really know the situation. But look, he needs to go out there and be a number one and get experience. And getting a first job at Ajax Amsterdam, a European giant like they are, is a massive job for anybody, let alone somebody for their first job. So I think that would be a perfect job to slide him in to do so. So yeah, very, very interesting there with regards to him. And as stated, guys, Paul Joyce is peddling the fact, of course, that he could be going to take over as Ajax Amsterdam's manager in the future, which is incredibly exciting for him. And as I just want to put on record, I wish him all the best with that endeavour should that one materialise. Now, into another news, guys. It's full of news today, troops. Full of news. And it is the £60 million bullet dodged. Yes, remember this man that we spoke about a lot in the summer? That was, of course, Mr. Romeo Lavia. Now, Romeo Lavia, of course, did seem like he was destined to come to Liverpool Football Club this summer. Of course, with the saga, you'll remember with Moises Caicedo, you'll remember with all those other kind of things that went on during the summer, the twists and turns that was our summer transfer window. We actually ended up with Endo and Ryan Gravenberch, Szoboszlai and McAllister. They were already done at that time, and definitely feel like we got it better, the better end of the stick. Now, especially with the news emerging over the last 24 hours, Mr. Romeo Lavia. Now, I don't like to wish, I don't wish any injuries on rival players. It's just a bit twisted, a bit sick. But I must admit to you, news has come out, of course, that the big man is going to miss the remainder of the season through injury. Yes, and guess what? How much minutes he's played so far this season? That we'll see for the 23-24 campaign. 32 minutes. Romeo Lavia has played 32 minutes so far this season. We were a ball hair away from paying 60 million quid for him, and it does seem as though we have dodged a gigantic bullet not signing him in the end. A lot of people were sort of gutted at the time, and I think, remember, when making videos and stuff like that, I was kind of upset about it, but look, it certainly seems that it's worked out in our favour. We didn't get Moises Caicedo. Maybe he would have been a better player last season for us anyway, instead of Chelsea. But certainly Mr. Romeo Lavia, 32 minutes this season and has been ruled out for the remainder of the campaign. That comes from Chelsea. So a huge bullet dodge there for Liverpool. Yeah, interesting. I do wish him best with his sort of recovery, but of course, it's unfortunate to see. But I say on our front, we have dodged a giant bullet there with that one. Now, moving on to the next part, guys. As I stated, I've got quite a few bits and pieces to go over today. There is a bit of news, quite a lot of news as we are gearing up to face Brighton. I will get onto Brighton very, very soon. But Jurgen Klopp has revealed Alisson should return from injury. Yes, you might be thinking, well, how the heck has Jurgen Klopp provided an update on Alisson? Well, funnily enough, it didn't come at a press conference. It actually came in a conversation with Liverpool fans during an open day at the AXA training centre. Jurgen Klopp gave an update on Alisson's return from a hamstring injury. As stated, Alisson has missed the last 10 games after suffering a serious hamstring injury in February, with Kelleher filling in excellently in his absence. But the return of Liverpool's number one goalkeeper remains a priority for Jurgen Klopp as his side seek 2 more trophies this season. The details of Alisson's injury have been unclear, with the most concrete update coming from Brazil manager Dorval Jr., who ruled the 31-year-old out of this month's friendlies against England and Spain. However, Jurgen Klopp has now given a time frame for his return during a chat with supporters at the AXA training centre on Wednesday. Ali, another 2.5 to 3 weeks, he revealed. So, big Alisson Becker looks like he is coming sooner rather than later. Yes, Jurgen Klopp providing an update with regards to Mr. Becker. Yeah, good to hear that one. As stated, not coming from a press conference troops, that just comes from some fans at the AXA training centre. So we have got an update on Alisson. He's going to be back in 2.5 to 3 weeks. Now, some of you might go, well, actually, Kelleher has been absolutely fantastic so far this season and may not want Alisson back. But Alisson is our best goalkeeper, and assuming he's fit and ready to go in 3 weeks' time, he'll obviously take over from Kelleher for the final few games of the campaign. So, interesting one. Whilst we are, as I said, this is an interactive community. I'm trying to get some. We've got over 100 people on here, guys. If you haven't already hit the like, please do subscribe. Like button and subscribe. Let's try and get this to 50 likes at least, or try and do so. And whilst I've asked you about the manager, let me know, right, when Alisson returns, does Alisson have to fight for the gloves, or does it go straight back to Alisson upon his return? Do you keep Kelleher in goal when Alisson's fit and ready, or does he have to wait until Kelleher makes a mistake? What would you do? Alisson or Kelleher? Let me know down there in the live chat, or in the comment section if you are watching on a replay, because it's a very interesting one. Normally 9 times out of 10, I think the player that has the jersey and is playing so well with the jersey deserves to keep the jersey for until basically he F's up. And Kelleher hasn't F'd up. In fact, he's been a revelation for us this season. So it kind of feels unfair, really, to when Alisson pops back in again, to literally go, no, you're straight out. I would be like, no, kind of Alisson needs to... I can't believe I'm saying I can't say it about Alisson. He's the best in the world. But it does seem a little bit unfair on Kelleher's behalf, because he actually has been fantastic in his absence. And I do feel really bad for him ever so slightly that he wouldn't have made a mistake. It's just that Alisson's a better goalkeeper, so it comes in. So yeah, I'm Alisson over Kelleher, 1000% I am. But just on those, on a level of on a level of that, the fact he hasn't done anything wrong, he hasn't put a foot wrong, it does kind of seem a little bit unfair. But yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that situation down there in the comments either way. So yeah, that was with regards to Alisson. Joel Matip, by the way, yes, you've probably forgot that Joel Matip, his contract is expiring end of the campaign. However, we've got another update with regards to him. Yes, 3.5 months on from a nasty ACL injury, Joel Matip took a major step in his recovery during training as a big decision looms over his Liverpool future. Matip was dealt a miserable blow back in December as he was forced off of the pitch midway through the second half of the 4-3 win over Fulham at Anfield. The centre-back was making his 12th start of the season, but it would be his last as his scans on his knee injury discovered damage to his ACL which required surgery. But after increasing his workload in the gym in recent weeks, he was cleared to run around the pitches at the XA training centre for the first time in over 3 months. Joel Matip is today running for the first time. Jurgen Klopp also told fans watching an open session on Wednesday. How many months? 3 months? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. There is still no sign that Matip will be fit to play a part in any of Liverpool's games in the final 2 months of the season, and with his contract due to expire at the end of the campaign, he is facing a very real prospect that he has played his last game for the football club. The feeling was only magnified with the news of Klopp's resignation, with the manager having previously suggested that he would push for a new deal for the number 32. Whether Klopp's successor would look to retain Matip is obviously unclear, but there was at least very good news for the 32-year-old. Despite injury problems, there would be unlikely a shortage of suitors if Liverpool opted against offering him a contract extension. So, good news on a personal level there for Matip. Of course, he's not going to be coming back into the side, it looks like, but he is out running again, and as stated, it's good for his rehabilitation that he's, of course, back running again. So yeah, hopefully we do see him maybe get a little bit of a send-off, or some would even argue that he gets a new contract. It's up to you, I suppose. Right, now in other news, guys, yes, we have full of it today. We are full of it, I tell you. So yeah. Let me take a few comments. Twinkle Toes Matip says Grey Goat. Ismail says Kelleher has been amazing, but Alisson is the best in the world and has to take a place back. I agree, and that's probably what Jurgen Klopp would probably say. Adam Rails said we've got to fight for it. Rennie says, who do you think will leave the club and who will join us in the summer? Well, honestly, it depends on the managers coming in through the door, isn't it? Because, well, we do need a left-sided centre-back, no matter what, I think, in my personal opinion. And especially if Matip does go out the door, we definitely need a new centre-back or some more centre-back options. So, again, I'm all for it. I'm all for some different names coming in. I do think we will make a plethora of new signings because a manager deserves to be able to implement their prints on the team. So I do believe we, of course, are going to be getting some coming through the door, some new players, but it all depends on it'll all depend on who the new manager is going to be. If you look at Xabi Alonso, you may be looking at, could he bring in a Florian Ritz? Could he bring in someone from his Bayer Leverkusen team? If it's a Ruben Amorim, could he bring in Ousmane Diomande as a potential centre-back? Could he bring in Incasio, a potential centre-back? Could he bring in Guy Enriquez, who's a striker killing it at the moment in time? It just depends on the manager. But we, of course, will make some additions this summer, no doubt about it, especially in that defensive area, I solemnly do believe. Sorry to keep on annoying you guys and pestering you. If you can hit the like button, it would be absolutely amazing. Subscribe as well. Remember, we are going to be back here every day. Monday to Friday probably, with a daily show at 11 o'clock UK time. So make sure you are here. Try and get interacting in the live chat. We're trying to build a community. So yeah. Lastly, guys, Manchester United, yes, have pledged their renewed commitment to tackle tragedy chanting in their games after more ugly scenes during the FA Cup clash with Liverpool. Yes, throughout Manchester United's 4-3 win over Liverpool in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup earlier in March, vile chants could be heard inside Old Trafford. Chants of, obviously, murderers and always victims were audible during ITV's broadcast of the tie, with it clear that it was a matter of hundreds, if not thousands of fans rather than a handful. In Bern, the Labour MP for West Derby contacted Manchester United to discuss the matter and their plans to curb any further tragedy chanting, with Chief Executive Officer Patrick Stewart responding on Tuesday. In a letter shared by Byrne on Twitter, Stewart vowed strong club sanctions alongside any criminal action as well as joint education programme in tandem with Liverpool. This was the full statement. On behalf of the club, let me reiterate our strong condemnation of the unacceptable chants that were heard from some fans against Liverpool. Ahead of the game and afterwards, we have made our feelings clear by reiterating the comments made by both managers in a joint statement last season, as well as providing our unequivocal support for the statements by the Football Association and Greater Manchester Police condemning this behaviour. We are working closely with Greater Manchester Police to identify those responsible and will back up any criminal action with strong club sanctions as we seek to eradicate the issues from our game. Football must stand together on this subject, and we applaud your campaign to raise awareness of the realities of what happened on that terrible day at Hillsborough in 1989, particularly among those too young to remember. To this end, we are formed a working group between Manchester United and Liverpool to explore the delivery of a joint education programme aimed at educating young people throughout the Manchester United and Liverpool FC foundations. Of course, this is something that we always have to deal with. Really, it's something I don't like to speak about in the sort of Liverpool sphere, but you always hear it. You're always going to hear it, and to be honest, we do need to educate these people to stop this sort of chanting. I'm not. Take it away from your fans or your Liverpool who mocks death and all this sort of crap. Some people are fairly sick in the head, so it does need to be stomped out. Now, that's that kind of done, dusted, guys, with regards to news. And next up for us is Brighton, or is Anfield, but I hadn't had a graphic for it, so just bear with that one. But of course, Brighton this weekend, we are looking like we are in a good place. As stated, we have kind of provided you with a bit of an injury update with regards to players and kind of stuff like that. It's a game where, look, we are at home. It's a weekend where we could go back to the top of the table. We have a very good chance of doing so. But we are in this moment in time now where the room and margin for error for this football club is next to zero. We can't be affording to drop any silly points. Every game, every 3 points is absolutely vital and crucial to where we want to be, and take this club to come the end of the season. And Brighton... they have been a bit of a bogey team for us at Anfield, would you believe? They've, I think the last time we played them was actually a 2-2 draw at their stadium. And you might say, oh, well, at Anfield we're better. Actually, no. They've actually managed to take points off of us in the last good few home games between them. I'll bring it up. So you don't think I'm chatting pure heat here. So our last game against them was 2-2 at their stadium this season, of course, right? But then we lost to them last year in January 2023 in the FA Cup. They actually eliminated us from the FA Cup. Then they beat us on the 14th of January 3-0 at their stadium. And if you go back to the last time we actually played them at Anfield, we drew 3-3. Our last win against Brighton was away from home, of course, in 2022 in March, where we beat them 2-0. But if you go back to our home game before that, we actually drew 2-2 to Brighton once again at home at Anfield. Then we, of course, lost to them in 2021 in that sort of COVID season. And you'll have to go all the way back. Funnily enough, right, here we go. I'm not chatting any rubbish here right now. I've got the right in front of me. The last time we beat Brighton at Anfield was on the 30th of November 2019. The 30th of November 2019 was the last time we beat Brighton at Anfield. Yes, we have been pretty poor against them so far this season. As stated, our last good few games against them, we've lost and drawn. Our last win coming against them in all competitions was all the way back on the 12th of March 2022. That was at the Amex. But our last home win against them, as stated, was a 2-1 win back in the 30th of November 2019. So they are our bogey team, if you like, but they are a side that are struggling with injuries so far this season. They're a team that are chasing those European spaces, have had a year in the Europa League this year. Of course, did get knocked out to Roma. And they're a side struggling, to be perfectly honest. It's not the Brighton and De Zerbi side that we've seen. If you look at their last matches, they lost a dead rubber against Roma. They beat Roma in a dead rubber, and then had beaten Nottingham Forest. But the games prior to that, pumped by Roma 4-0, beaten by Fulham 3-0, beaten by Wolves in the FA Cup 1-0, drawing to Everton. The last win prior to that was a 5-0 win against Sheffield United in very, very patchy form. A loss against Spurs, a win against Palace, then they would lose against Luton. So very, very patchy so far this season, and hopefully something that we can put this bad record to bed, certainly going forward. But a very interesting stat there, not beat them at Anfield since 2019. So it might not be plain sailing, but as stated, there is no margin for error, and we need to bounce back from that Manchester United game, because that's still pissing me off, even after all these weeks. So yeah. But you know what, guys? I think that's all I've really got for you today. That's all I've really got for you. We've had a good half an hour show here. As stated, we are going to be doing this every single day, maybe bar a match day, or there'll be interchange. Either way, we'll work it out. It's going to be about 11 o'clock UK time every day. A daily briefing, going over all of the sign of Liverpool news, just having an interactive comments. There's been a good few people in this live chat interacting, but as the goal is, as we go forward, as time moves on, of course, we'll be able to create more of a community, and I get to know you guys get to know me, and talk about this fantastic football club. But that's it, guys, from me. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed it, and as stated, let me know who you want as our manager down there in the comment section below. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you all next time.